So, Jab, when you decided that you want to move away from active practice and you told your family, did any one of your friends or colleagues reach out to you and say, please, ruk jao, reconsider, don't do it soon?
I have received several thousand messages by now, and many of them have expressed surprise, shock, and so many of them have said that please reconsider your decision.
One of the judges also mentioned that in law, there is no work-life balance, there is work, and that's life.
Never allow time to become your master. That kind of a balance which I could maintain, I don't see why others cannot maintain that balance. Young girls who are working in the law firms, which are based now in Noida and Gurgaon, who are traveling at 11 and 12 and 1 o'clock in the night alone.
Yeah.
It's criminal to expect them to do that. 1980 to 82, we got tremendous exposure, arguing some 2,000-3,000 cases in that period.
Wow.
At admission stage. As a lawyer, young lawyer, it's important for you to identify the opportunities. We have forgotten the sacrifices that Indians made during the freedom struggle for almost, right from 1857 to 1947. Thousands and thousands of people were killed by the Britishers. Fundamental rights is something which is so important that you must have a whole subject on it so that people know that rights of people are so sacrosanct.
How can someone make a name for themselves in Supreme Court as a lawyer?
One thing lawyers must understand, that don't come to Supreme Court just because there is a Supreme Court of India.
How would you deal with when you lost a case? This is an emergency episode. Emergency because a big stalwart of our industry has decided to quit. If you want to know the reasons, the motivations, या उनके mind में क्या चल रहा था, why after 48 years of stunning and active legal practice, this amazing individual has decided to resign or quit from the profession, watch this episode. I'm not going to share anything about why he's left it. You should watch it, learn from his life, and start inculcating lessons of truth, justice, and courage. This is what the man stands for and has always been. Thank you for watching Beyond Billables. I'm positive this episode is going to be one hell of an episode. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Beyond Billables. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
It's my pleasure too. Thank you for inviting me.
Sir, we'll discuss this podcast in 3 parts. As जैसे आप एक lawyer की तरह करते हैं. First is your decision. Second would be the journey that was. And the third is the journey ahead. Decision की बात करते हैं सर. अब कितना टाइम हो गया आपको एक्टिव प्रैक्टिस से रिमूव किए हुए?
Well, I practiced for 48 years. So I was very active practitioner right from the beginning. And so it's been an extremely enjoyable and very active, professional practice. And every moment of those 48 years I have, thoroughly enjoyed. I never got bored, never got tired for 48 years. But yet, I took ultimately the decision to quit. So, but it's been an amazing time. And that's what it is.
So, you took the decision, I think, 4-5 days back.
Yes, I took the decision. I announced it last week, but I discussed it with my children when we were traveling, South Africa to celebrate my 70th birthday. That was, 14th June was my birthday. So for about 12 days, we were in South Africa.
Belated happy birthday, sir.
Thank you. So I discussed it with my children, my son, my daughter, my wife, and their spouses. So, and I told them that I am inclined. And they were also a little taken aback, but they said that please wait for 2 years because you might complete 50 years then, and it's a great milestone.
Right.
But I felt that I'm not really so touchy about milestones in life. I've done enough. I have achieved enough. I've contributed enough. And if I am not really enjoying practicing now, and if I can find more enjoyment in other things in life which I wish to pursue, Then I thought, why delay for 2 years? I mean, that's how I took the decision. So I announced it, I mean, straight away, last week.
सर उस डिसीजन के बारे में थोड़ा बात करते हैं. सर व्हाट हैपेंड इन साउथ अफ्रीका सर? इज़ इट बिकॉज यू हैड द टाइम टू थिंक अबाउट इट देयर कि आपने रिफ्लेक्शन किया? व्हाट हैपेंड कि उस ट्रिप में ये डिसीजन?
It's not that decision came, just in a spur of moment. For quite some time, I have been, feeling that I think my time is up in the, in judiciary, in legal practice, because I'm a very unusual kind of a lawyer. I'm a very sensitive lawyer. I cannot suffer, I cannot suffer wrongs at the hands of anybody, especially judges. I cannot suffer any kind of a misconduct on the part of the judges. And I certainly cannot, see injustice being done by judges to litigants. So over the years, I was feeling that, the kind of judiciary that I grew up with, or rather in which I was born, because my father was a district judge and then a high court judge, and he was extraordinarily hardworking. I mean, you cannot imagine how much hard work and the level of competence he had, that when he was a district judge, and if you would be, if you would be hearing one of the most serious, murder trials involving a large number of accused, in which ultimately he would have given, 10, 15 people life imprisonment and 4 or 5 people death sentences, as he did in Palanpur in Banaskantha in 1961-62. He would start, dictating judgment as soon as arguments were over on the dais. He won't wait for a second, he won't wait for a day. So that kind of marshalling of facts, marshalling of law, he was an extraordinarily brilliant man. And so, I was seeing as a child how much hard work he used to do, how much he used to work, what commitment he had, what sensitivity he had, what kind of sincerity he had, and what kind of integrity he had to the cause of justice and, to doing justice to people. So all that I was born in that kind of an atmosphere, and I was fortunate that I had such a great father. My mother was also deeply devoted and extraordinarily simple and, kind mother, who really gave us fantastic value system. And then when I started practice in the 70s, I mean, before that also, when my father was a High Court judge in Ahmedabad, I could interact with some of the finest judges who were his colleagues and friends. And I used to see that each one of them was better than the other. Each one was more sincere, more, honest, and more competent. So I grew up even in my early college days overseeing all these, judges. And my, respect for judiciary was growing, on a daily basis. Although our financial condition was really bad by the time I was ready to plunge into, my life. I finished college in 75, law college in 78. My father had retired and gone back to Baroda. He had no money. He couldn't give me even 500 rupees a month at that point of time. I had no home in Ahmedabad to live in. And yet I wanted to, become a lawyer. I became a lawyer, and, I could, in those days, the kind of judges that we had in Gujarat High Court, I swear to God, it was a dream, to appear before those judges.
So that
Chief
was
Justice,
the environment you were in at
Chief
that.
Justice Diwan, so courteous, so, fine, so judicious, so justice oriented. Justice P.D. Desai, and many, many other judges who were there in that court at that point of time. Justice S.H. Shet, who challenged his own transfer during the emergency. Amazing judge, very courageous judge. Like that, there were so many judges. And so, I grew up respecting judiciary because of that, loving judiciary and enjoying my work as a lawyer. Justice B.K. Mehta was there. He was another fantastic judge who later came and practiced in Supreme Court. But slowly, first 10 years, 15 years, things were good. Even when I shifted to Supreme Court in 1986, after 8 years of practice, Supreme Court was an excellent court. Chief Justice Pathak was there first, then Chief Justice Bhagwati took over, or vice versa. and then many other judges, Justice Venkatramaiah and many other judges that I could see, Justice Chinnappa Reddy, Justice Krishna earlier then. So all these judges, Justice Tuldapurkar, outstanding, Justice
Right, sir.
Sen, Justice Sen, my God, all these judges were so good, and it brought the best out of you as a lawyer. Because they expected you to assist the court in the best possible way
At a certain level.
and when you assisted, you were sure that if you had a case, if you had a just case, you are bound to succeed. There was no matter of uncertainty in those courts. Today, in last 10-15 years, what has happened, or 20 years, is that even with the most certain facts and law in your favor, you are not sure what will be the outcome.
Yeah.
And that upset me for a long time. And I've been seeing that, as a result of that, whatever may be the reason, maybe because the judges are not as good as they should be, they don't perhaps work hard as they should, maybe they are not, well versed with law as they should be, or maybe they are influenced by extraneous consideration. But I could see that in many matters, not just in my matters, but when I would be sitting in the court and see all, they used to deflect, justice completely. They used to do injustice in more than one way. That I think really worked very seriously on my mind. And I felt slowly that, what is the point of my hard work? What is the point of my being outspoken? What's the point of my assisting the court in the best way? So over the period, let's say, I was seriously disillusioned with the system. And then I felt that perhaps I am no longer fitting into this system, because I was not willing to compromise. I was not willing to please the judges. I was not willing to meet the judges as many lawyers do. I was not willing to entertain them. And I certainly would not allow my clients to deflect justice by improper means. I'm very touchy about that. If I ever learned that my client had tried to approach a judge, I would throw the brief in his face. And it has happened on several occasions. So, all that, then ultimately the bundle of that was that why not leave the profession at a time when you are, so well regarded, so well respected? Because I have received the kind of love, affection and respect from the bar across the country, which is absolutely immeasurable. And that love and affection, was very, I would say, the greatest satisfaction, even from the litigants. Amazing amount of love and affection from the litigants. They would always tell me that, the kind of honest advice that I would give them. If they had a case, I will tell them, you have a case. If they don't have a case, I'll tell them, why waste money on me and litigation? Go away. Settle it with the other side. Don't pursue this matter. And they would go to some other lawyer and, they would lose. And they'll come back and say, you advised us, but we went ahead and others told us that no, fight. We spent a lot of money and here we are without any, relief. So the kind of affection from even litigants that I got, the kind of affection and regard and respect that I received from the bench, so many judges. You see, there are all kinds of judges.
Right,
there are some outstanding, honest judges in the system who respect you for what you are. There are judges who are, who have questionable, methods or ways. They may not respect you, but I didn't care for them. And they knew that I don't care for them. So it didn't matter. So, with this kind of, I would say, bundle of joys and love that I received from people, the thousands and thousands of them, I felt that this is the time when I should really call off the day and do something else in life.
So on a lighter note, something similar to what I would say Virat Kohli did this year. He also retired from cricketing at the peak of his career. So is आपके decision में, in your decision, which I believe is a very courageous decision, did family play a role? That I want to spend more time with the family. I haven't had the chance to do it in the last 48 years. But now I want to also devote time to that area of my life, which maybe was neglected or was not attended to.
I was a very unusual lawyer. I never not had time for my family.
Wow.
Right from day one. I balanced my practice with my family, with my passions, like reading books, taking vacations, right from. And I never ever allowed my work to interfere with my family life or my personal life. So I won't say that I will find more time today to read or to spend more time with my family. I always did so. And I must say that, everybody knows in the system that I would never have conferences after 6 o'clock in the evening.
Right, sir.
Everybody knows that, I would rarely meet on Sundays or Saturday afternoons. That's because I never wanted to, compromise with my personal life. So, and many a times people will say that, look, if you don't have a conference on Sunday, for miscellaneous days on Monday, then we have problem briefing you. And I'll tell them very nicely that please brief somebody else. That's not a problem. But I don't want to compromise on my personal life for, a brief. So over the last, almost 5 decades, one thing from day one I was very clear and conscious is that I must have as much time for my family or for myself as I would devote to my work. So that balance was very beautifully maintained by me. So it's not that today I'm going to have more time. I have done it as always.
सर पर्सनली आई वांटेड टू आस्क यू, आजकल बहुत ज़्यादा डिबेट चलता है अबाउट वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस फॉर लॉयर्स लाइक माई सेल्फ इन लॉ फर्म, एंड देर इज़ अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग व्यू दैट देर इज़ नो सच थिंग लाइक वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस. And just recently when there's now been a change in roster in Delhi High Court, as you've seen, and one of the judges also mentioned that in law there is no work-life balance, there is work and that's life. But here I see you've bucked the trend, you've done the complete opposite by maintaining all of this. So what would be that one advice that you'd want to share with everyone who's looking for this work-life balance?
See, first and foremost, never allow time to become your master. You must have control over time. If you don't have a control over time, then there is a problem. I mean, in my chamber, for example, I would shoo away my juniors on Friday afternoon after coming back from the court by 1 o'clock. And I'll tell them, go home. Saturday, I will tell them, come at around 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1:30, I'll tell them, go away. Sunday, I would never call them. And most days in the evening, I will tell them to leave by 6, 6:30, 7. And I would never expect them to work, and I would never expect them to carry work home. Because I always, for 48 years, one thing I have done is I have prepared the briefs myself. I have read every brief, every page myself. I have not depended myself on my juniors reading and briefing me. No. The research was always done by me. They were welcome to do their research. They were welcome to read the brief but not mark it. I alone had the right to mark my briefs. So, that kind of a balance which I could maintain, I don't see why others cannot maintain that balance. Everybody should be, if you get up early, I used to get up by, let's say, 5, 5:30. And for a long time, between 1993, when I shifted to the farm, till about 2000 and 2012, 13, I used to reach office by about 7:30 in the morning, 7:45. And I would leave in the evening early. When I used to be at the farm, I used to leave the office at 5 o'clock without fail. 4:30, I'll come back, have a quick conference, go away at 5 o'clock. If you want a conference with me, come tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. If you don't want to brief me because it's inconvenient, sorry, that's your problem, not mine. So it all depends on you individually. I see, in these law firms, people working at some crazy hours. For what? I don't understand. What are they creating? I don't think their output is as qualitative as it should be with all that. I mean, everybody has briefed me. There is no law firm in this country, good law firm or small or big, who have not briefed me. And I have seen that, it affects the output of the young lawyers who work in these law firms. So I don't know why they are not able to manage themselves properly. The kind of pressure that they are putting, on these young lawyers is, I would say, unfair. I don't think, I know of young girls who are working in the law firms, which are based now in Noida and Gurgaon, who are traveling at 11 and 12 and 1 o'clock in the night alone.
Yeah.
It's criminal to expect them to do that. You can't just, put that kind of pressure on young lawyers and make them virtually miss their lives in their young days. They may be, newly married. You just don't allow them any time to spend with their spouses. So that kind of a thing has to stop. So far as judges are concerned, it's a very different issue, because one, the number of judges in India is the lowest per capita ratio in the world. Secondly, government is not interested in increasing the work strength of the judges. Thirdly, unfortunately, the judges themselves don't know how to handle their docket. That's a big problem. So judges, what is happening today, that in high courts and even lower courts, if you go there, 500 cases are listed every day.
Right, sir.
I mean, and it's nothing but roll call. So what's the point of listing those matters on the, that pile of briefs on a judge's head? I mean, it is physically impossible for the judge to read. If the judge doesn't read, what justice can the judge do? Lawyers may not honestly assist the court. They may not be fully prepared. They may be incompetent. Sometimes they may be dishonest. They may mislead the judge. Judge doesn't know all that. And judge may not know the latest law. It's not that judge knows everything under the sky. So as a result, the justice gets skewed. So I don't know. We will have to seriously introspect as an institution, and both bar and bench, that judges get only those number of matters which is possible for judges to really do justice to. And bar should be requested or instructed or directed that under no circumstances adjournments will not be given on this flimsy pretext that lawyers seek adjournments on a day and day out basis. Unless we do that, we are doing great disservice to the only stakeholder who matters, the litigant. We survive on them, we are thriving on them as lawyers and as judges.
Correct.
But we are doing great disservice to that litigant because we are not delivering justice to him properly. So what's the point of this system? Yes, it is chugging along, but it is not chugging along with the best of the justice which is expected by litigants. You take a survey, believe you me, you take a secret survey in this country from the litigants as to whether they are satisfied with the judiciary or not. I have no doubt that judiciary will be under serious attack by them. They will really express their serious misgivings about the functioning of the judiciary, functioning of the lawyers. And that's a very sad commentary. But we don't want the truth to come out. We don't want to know honestly what is happening. We want to, just live by the day, because we are happy that we have, as lawyers, earned the fees. We have got the matter pushed, and the judge is happy that he has adjourned 50 or 75 or 100 matters. And in 2, 3, 4 matters, he passes some kind of a, casual orders. I mean, I don't know whether it's satisfying or not, but I think the system is extremely dissatisfactory.
So, Jab, when you decided that you want to move away from active practice and you told your family, did any one of your friends or colleagues reach out to you and say, please, ruk jao, reconsider, don't do it soon? Did you get that kind of reaction from your friends or family?
Well, I have received several thousand messages by now, and many of them have expressed surprise, shock, and I mean, so many of them have said that please reconsider your decision. But ultimately, overwhelming number of people have supported my decision to quit. They have congratulated me and wished me good luck. And while noting that, whatever little contribution I have made to the justice delivery system, they have praised what I have already contributed, and they have said that, yes, they are going to miss that. They are going to miss me in the court. I have received phone calls from judges also, from the Supreme Court, from the High Courts, many judges from across the country, lawyers from across the country, litigants from across the country, civil society members from across the country, who have all been, sharing their affection, their praises, their good wishes. And that when I sit back at the end of the day, I almost feel like crying, that there is so much of warmth in the society, so much of love for the society, that, many a times people felt that I stand up and, take a stand, which I shouldn't be doing, because lawyers are not expected to, stand up to the judges, and they must cow down before the judges. Or that lawyers should not, take up causes against the government of the day, or, talk about corruption in judiciary. and that I was mad, many people thought. But the kind of messages, the kind of warmth, kind of love that I have received, I swear to God, there is nothing more equal to that.
That's
No
what-
amount of fees that even the best of the lawyers would have earned this country can be measured against that. So that's the reward, that's the joy, and that's so I mean I have no regrets, and I am so happy that I took the decision, and I'm very firm about the decision. I'm never going to reconsider it.
I'm glad to know that, sir. Sir, let's talk about the journey that was. You mentioned that you decided to come to Delhi from Gujarat. Was that a personal decision or a strategic decision for your career?
See, it's very important in a lawyer's life that you should, have goals, every few years, and you should strive to achieve those goals. When I started practice in 1978, it was completely dark before me. I wasn't sure whether I will be able to even exist for a month or two. I started with 250 rupees a month. I shared my first house with a High Court peon who was paying half rent. I was paying half rent. So, and most days I did not have even money to travel by a bus.
This is in Delhi, sir?
No, this is in Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad.
I remember one day, early at night, I had severe pain in my ear for whatever reason. And it became so unbearable that in the early morning, I had to go and show myself to my ENT, Dr. Balge, one of the finest, family of ENTs, father and two sons. They were only doing social service. And I started walking because I had no money. I started walking, and I walked for almost 10 kilometers to go to their clinic because I couldn't afford even a bus on that particular day. So I didn't have a cycle too. And so, it's something very, and within 2 minutes, I had a wax in my ears. They cleaned up the wax, and the pain disappeared. And I was so joyous that I almost ran back to my home, that long distance. So it was such a tough journey. But I must say that I started, then, I got some opportunity, which was very interesting because, I could speak, although, most people will not know that I went through a Gujarati medium school and I learned ABCD in the 11th standard.
Wow.
I have no formal education in English grammar. But you ask me to write, I can write 100 pages without a single grammatical mistake. So I whatever I had to acquire my knowledge of English, working English, as I would call it, writing and reading and speaking, was by reading some 4,000-5,000 or plus books during my college days, novels. I was very fond of novels. I rarely went to the college. In my 7 years, 4 and 3, 7 years, I don't think I went to classes for more than 10-15 days. I used to just read and read. I used to listen to BBC regularly in those days, always BBC radio. And I would read every English newspaper that I could lay my hands on. I used to, hear All India Radio News in those days. Melville DeMello, Jyotika Roy, and other, newscasters were there. Their English, Surujit Sen, their English was out of the world. So I learned all that, by myself. And, because of that, and I used to go to the club where, my father was a member in a college days. It was kind of a government club. And, I knew senior officers, including then Chief Secretary, Mr. H.K.L. Kapoor, who later became UPSC chairman. He was Chief Secretary for 7 years. Outstanding man. So perhaps we had the finest Advocate General that you could ever see as a law officer, late Mr. J.M. Thakur. He became Advocate General in 1960 when Gujarat High Court was formed. He came from Bombay. He was Mr. Setalwad's nephew. And he died in office in 2000, just after 2000. So for 40 years, he continued to be Advocate General. No government, irrespective of party, touched him. That's how respect he commanded. And no chief minister could expect him to go and visit him. If chief minister wanted to meet him, chief minister has to come once, and he will go there once. No minister would dare ring him up and ask him for a favor in a matter. And if he found that the government's decision was wrong, he will stand up without asking the government and tell the court that please record that this decision is wrong. Advocate General says so. Set it aside. So he was very kind to me for some reason. He took a liking to me, whatever may be the reason. I always had good relationship with older people. So between Chief Secretary and Mr. Thakur, I got the opportunity to argue cases for government solicitors, Ambubai Divanji, Bhaishankar Kanga, and all, along with Justice Anil Dave, who retired from Supreme Court, Chief Justice Mohit Shah, who retired from Bombay, and late Mr. Kirit Rawal, Solicitor General, outstanding lawyer. He was IIM Ahmedabad graduate. He died early, unfortunately, because of cancer. So four of us, and those years, between I think 1980 to 82, we got tremendous exposure, arguing some 2,000-3,000 cases in that period.
Wow.
At admission stage. So, this opportunity came. Then slowly, because I was arguing well, people sitting in the court would walk up to you and say that please give your card, or will come and say that I have a case, please appear for me. So it started, and then I did tremendous work in the field of excise and customs at that point of time. A lot of work in corporate areas, almost. And then a lot of work came from companies which are outside Gujarat somehow. Beginning with Reliance, which introduced me to these companies, many top companies of Aditya Birla Group, Rajasthan Spinning, and those companies here. What is now known as Jubilant. It was earlier VAM Organic of Bhartiya family, Burmans of Dabur. So they all came in touch with me somehow or the other, through my work, and they started briefing me. So I would come to Delhi again and again between 1980 to 85, 86. Then, by sheer luck, Mr. Bhartiya, Hari Bhartiya, who was my friend, even otherwise, and Mr. Anand Burman, whom he introduced to me of Dabur. The two of them came to Ahmedabad and offered that I should shift to Delhi. And I said, I have 5 lakhs in my bank account. I can't shift to Delhi like that.
This is 1986.
This is 1984.
1984.
So they said that please shift. I said, I can't shift like that. So they said, but what do you need? I said, I need minimum money. I need some place to stay. So one of them said that I will offer you retainership. The other said, I will offer you a house to stay. And at that point of time, then I, converted my practice into partnership with, our two friends, Kamal Trivedi, who's presently Advocate General of Gujarat, and a very dear friend of mine at that point of time, and Rakesh Gupta, another friend. 3 of us started a law firm. It was a very successful law firm at that point of time in Gujarat. So some of the best litigation work we did. And then because of this offer in 1986, I shifted. And the rest was history. And when I shifted here, I didn't join anybody's chamber. I was on my own. And I worked my way, from the Excise Tribunal, Company Law Board, MRTP Commission, High Court, Supreme Court, other High Courts, Gujarat High Court. Everywhere I would go, sab bandar ke vyapari. So, and many people, supported me, including Ms. Pallavi Shroff, who supported me in my initial years. Many people supported me, I think. And I had fantastic work, some of the best companies. Perhaps some of the finest companies of India I have represented at some point or the other. So these opportunities came, and I seized those opportunities. I didn't back off. I mean, anybody would have, thought that how can you shift in 8 years practice to Supreme Court when you are doing so well in Gujarat? Because in the second category of lawyers, perhaps I was at the top in Gujarat at that point of time. I was not in the top, but in the second line of lawyers. And everybody felt at that time also that how can you go? My father also said, how can you go to Delhi like this? But late Mr. J.M. Thakur, Advocate General, said, no, you shift to Delhi, you'll do well. So that's how I was. And then these two friends, helped me. So, as a lawyer, young lawyer, it's important for you to identify the opportunities and never run away from the opportunities. Seize them as and when they come. If you miss them, then you have missed the bus. You must have that courage. And one thing is definite, that nobody should remain with another lawyer for more than a year or 2. If you remain there, then your confidence is shaken, because then you become dependent on the salary that you receive.
Very true, sir.
So, it's something which I don't think lawyers, if they have ambition, they should really follow their ambitions. They should have the courage. And I have no doubt that courage will be rewarded. But of course, they must practice honestly and with integrity and hard work. Unless you do hard work, because litigants are a very smart lot. They know if you have worked hard or not. They know if you are straightforward.
They
or
can
not.
see through.
Yes, they can.
And
see
they'll
through.
test you.
And if you have satisfied one litigant, you can be rest assured that he will speak to 10 prospective litigants. So it's very important for young people to understand this, because it's not easy, our profession. It's a very difficult profession. It's very tough, but the best. With all these stand that I have taken in my life against the governments, be it a Congress government or being the BJP government, against the corruption in judges, inefficiency in judges, or obnoxious behavior of judges. God has been kind. I have been able to survive, and I have reached wherever I have reached. So I don't think one should be afraid of taking a stand. Or should take a stand. In fact, under the Advocates Act, the rules specifically say that if you are right, you must stand up to the judge and tell him that you are right and correct him. Never be cowed down by a judge, but respectfully do it. I've never had a personal confrontation. And when I felt that a judge was likely to personally misbehave with me, I walked out of his court. I would never appear in his court. There have been at least half a dozen judges in whose courts I didn't appear. I walked out because I felt that they were personally targeting me. So, but you should have that courage, because if you don't, then he will hurt your clients. So you should not allow your clients to be hurt for the sake of earning, money. That's something you should never do. So that's what it is. Law is a very, very beautiful profession.
Sir, sometimes one of my seniors told me that matters make lawyers. When you reflect back, sir, is there any matter during your Supreme Court journey, or when you came to Delhi, where you can really look back and say, this is that matter which really brought me into, I would say, the limelight or in front of people?
I won't say that there is any one particular matter. In early days in Gujarat High Court, one of the matters which gave me a great prominence among the corporate world was a very serious excise case that was faced by Nirma, which was a young company at that point of time. And, that case gave me tremendous prominence. When I came to Delhi, I had such a wide clientele, and wide practice, before Customs Excise Tribunal, CGAT as it used to be called then, the MRTP Commission, Company Law Board, the Supreme Court, the High Court. It was extremely varied. There was no subject that I didn't touch. There was no law that I didn't touch. From constitutional law to corporate laws to civil laws to criminal laws. All kinds of laws I have done it. People would be surprised. In two of the most important cases, for example, for Wipro, whom I used to represent for many years, criminal cases, both involving Mr. Azim Premji personally. I argued and succeeded and had the prosecution squashed. One was under the environment law filed by Gujarat government, and the other was under the Essential Commodities Act filed by the Maharashtra government. So, there were so many such cases which came across. It's very difficult to put finger on one or two cases, which, I think overall it was, people could see that, if somebody is hardworking, somebody reads the brief, somebody can, present the facts properly and, is prepared with law, then I think automatically the firms start briefing you. The law litigants start coming to you. So it's that, you can't just depend on one break. So this is not like cricket where, you have one break and, score a century like Suryavanshi did, that, you get prominence. No, it's a tough fight. It's a long fight. And unless you are consistent in that fight, you can be just thrown off. You will never be selected by clients or by law firms.
So speaking of consistency, how would you deal with when you lost a case, or if a verdict was not something that you were expecting?
If I lost a case on merit where I was supposed to lose, because I always knew, I had no problem at all. Because more often than not, I would have already told the client that you have no case. And it would be proper that you don't pursue this case. In fact, one of the reasons why law firms stopped briefing me was that of my honest advice. And they didn't like my honest advice being given to the litigants, in their presence. Because, law firms like, I think, long litigations. And I was one of those who believed that this has to stop. If you have no case, forget it. Don't waste your time.
Somebody should tell them that they don't have a case.
Yes, straight away, bluntly. And many a times, people would come back after having gone to some other senior, having fought the case and lost, that, sir, your advice was right and we should have listened to you. But whenever I felt that where, my client deserved justice and he didn't get justice, then it did definitely hurt. And more so when you knew that the judge was deciding for some collateral consideration. But there's nothing you can do about that. You try and persuade such a judge also. But some judges are so, so determined because of collateral considerations that there is nothing you can do to argue before them. Merit doesn't matter then. But you still try. You try and help your client. But even in those cases, many a times I would tell the client halfway through that I see something fishy in this judge's approach. And I'm sorry that I don't think my advocacy or my hard work is going to really play a role here. But those cases did hurt very badly. Because I feel that not a single judge should be there present in the judiciary across the country who decides for collateral considerations. You do that, you are denying justice to people, and justice means a lot to people. There is a lot of injustice in society, lot of injustice. And if we can't give, good justice, solid justice, straightforward justice to people, then it's a disgrace to the institution.
Wow, sir. So back in the day when you started your practice before Supreme Court, you said there were a lot of good judges that brought out the best in you also. Did you come across any matter where you were arguing, you felt that you were really tested by the judge and that testing brought out the best of you in advocacy in that matter?
A large number of matters. Before those judges, you had to be prepared completely on facts and in law. And, you could never fool them around. They were so sharp that their uptake was like this. And they would really expect you to give the answers straight away. If you don't, even today, for example, the judges expect, the honest answers from the counsels. It's only when we, fail to give, proper answers to the judges that judges feel frustrated and they therefore, sometimes take hasty decisions and not give you relief. So it's important for a counsel to be very ready and always respond to the judge's query. What happens more often than not is that we lawyers are not willing to listen to the judge. When judge is asking a question, we are shutting him off halfway. You must be seeing it in Supreme Court many a times.
Yes,
when judges lament that at least hear me, I have a question. Let me finish my question, then you respond to me. Every day this is happening. But unfortunately, this is not happening. So I feel that, it's large number of cases which we were being tested. Large number of cases. And it was always a joy to respond to the judges. And, those judges would be appreciating.
I just wanted to ask, sir, I think you've laid a lot of emphasis on the values of courage and justice. How did you muster so much courage back then to speak up to something what you felt is not going right?
See, it has to come from within. One, I was fortunate that I had great parents who instilled strong value system in me. I saw my father, as I said, that my father didn't have money, at the end of the month. Virtually every month as a High Court judge and as a district judge. There were days when we could not even buy milk for last 3-4 days in a month. So, and, he was judge, district judge directly appointed. He was a High Court judge. And when he retired, he had no vehicle. He had no car when he went back to Baroda. So, and the value system that my parents gave, both my mother was deeply religious, extremely spiritual, and my father was hugely well read. He was a voracious reader. There is no literature in the world that he had not read. His memory was elephantine, and he had one of the finest education. He had done his college in Bombay and Elphinstone College. He had done his law in Elphinstone College. Then he did advocate OS. In those days there was advocate original side, which was equivalent to barrister's examination. So he was highly qualified, highly educated, and very upright in his life. So that value system helped me. I must say I was also fortunate that I got fantastic teachers, because I studied in small towns in Gujarat. When my father was district judge, Palanpur, where all the diamond merchants come, the Mehtas, then Jamnagar, then Nadiad, So, I went to these Gujarati medium schools, and the teachers were absolutely outstanding teachers. I learned so much. So, that value system. And secondly, whatever reason, right from my college days, I had a great love for India. My father was a great supporter of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And in my college days, I was dead against Mrs. Indira Gandhi, especially when she brought emergency. And we would have long arguments as to why Mrs. Gandhi is good, and I would say why she is not good for the country. Why autocracy is not good, I will tell. And I used to, interact with a lot of people, including, Justice D.A. Desai, who was our neighbor, who came to Supreme Court.
Right, sir.
He was totally against Mrs. Indira Gandhi, although my father's best friend. And he and I would, every evening team up and argue with my father and other, judges' friends. So, and in college days, I did some kind of a not so legal activity during emergency, when I used to circulate articles which were published against emergency in English newspapers, The Guardian and The Times, and which were being sent to me by a friend from England. I used to have them cyclostyle in those days and give it to judges and other lawyers. And so I was also cautioned for that by the then Intelligence Bureau head of Gujarat, Mr. M.M. Singh, for that. So I had a very deep sense of love and affection for India, for democracy, and I always believed that constitution should be, maintained as religiously as possible. So for that, perhaps over the years, made me think that I should not be cowed down by anybody, be it anybody. I'm not afraid of anybody except God. Whatever has to happen to me has to happen. I have to face it. It's not that I may not suffer consequences. Of course I may. But I have to be prepared for it. And I have to put my faith in Almighty, that Almighty will protect me. Because I am not going to go to anybody to protect myself. So, and this, I always felt that independence of judiciary is very important. I heard late Mr. Sirvai argue for almost 2 weeks or a little more for Justice S.H. Sheth, who challenged his transfer in Gujarat High Court. So as a young student, every day I used to go in the High Court and listen to him. And listening to late Sirvai in those young days, that they leave such a great impression on your mind. And one of the lawyers who became extremely, close to me, despite our serious age difference, was late Mr. C.T. Daru, who was a great, a lawyer for constitutional rights, for human rights. And he was jailed during emergency. Somehow he took a fancy to me. And he would always, guide me, coach me. Whenever I would have time, I will sit with him. He loved classical music. So whenever he was going to a good classical music concert, he will invite me to go with him. So we became very friendly. So from him, and he was a radical humanist. So from him, I learned a lot of good things in life. So that's how it is. The courage comes when you see the system faltering, the system falling apart. And when you see injustices being meted out to people, then the rebel in you comes out and it tells you that no, this is not right. you must be able to speak against them. You must speak about corruption in judiciary. You must speak about inefficiency. You must speak about autocratic style of functioning, be it of Congress government or the BJP government. You must have that courage that people should not suffer, constitution should not be skewed, and fundamental rights should be respected. So I think it was a natural process that grew inside me over a long period of time. But most of all, it was because I love India the most.
I remember, sir, long time back you had mentioned that the state of affairs of the country or the judicial system upsets you so much that you're not able to sleep at night. What is that one thing now that you're moving away that you would like to actively work towards resolving for the betterment?
Look, I personally feel India is irredeemable. Whatever people may have, faith and, hopes or positivity, I have very serious doubts that we can really come out of the mess that we have created for ourselves. Because as Ambedkar had feared, the man has become vile. And there's nothing that can be done about it. You cannot change the character of, average Indian. He is interested in materialism. And in pursuit of that materialism, he is willing to compromise on everything. So, it is today, therefore, it is impossible that we can have better governance in the country. It is impossible that we can have better justice delivery system in the country. It is impossible that we can have rule of law in this country, as is been conceived under the Constitution. Every day there are onslaught on people. Different types of people are suffering in different ways. They are marginalized. The Dalits are marginalized. Women are marginalized. The minority communities are marginalized. It's only the rich and the powerful who are able to sustain themselves. I may be a beneficiary myself, but I feel sorry that this is not how it was conceived. I always say that we have forgotten the sacrifices that Indians made during the freedom struggle for almost, right from 1857 to 1947. Thousands and thousands of people were killed by the Britishers. Millions, sacrificed their lives. They were imprisoned. People like Jawaharlal Nehru spent 11 years in jail. Millions of people. Sardar Patel went to jail for a long period. Mahatma Gandhi went for years on.
Yeah.
And, men, women and children, everybody sacrificed for this country to get us freedom. Now, if that freedom is going to be bartered away in this fashion, because we want to give power to, political parties who have, particular, ideological approach, which is unconstitutional, then I don't think we can really correct this course. It's very difficult to correct the course.
How do we change that character that you're saying, which is now deeply rooted in all of us? How do we work towards changing it? Let's say at an individual level.
It's as I always say, that the character building, especially the moral character building of an individual, was always from parents and from teachers. Today, if the children see that my parents are not leading a life which they should as good human beings, they are also running after money. They are also running, to get this money by whatever means they are available at their command. If they don't get proper, teachings in the schools, because, teachers today have no time, their lives have become very difficult. It's not that there are no good teachers. But in this fast-moving, world, the teachers don't find time to really inculcate. Take, for example, law education. How much emphasis there is on ethics? I would say virtually none. Virtually none. Yeah. How much emphasis there is on teaching the real, ideals of Constitution. Fundamental rights is something which is so important that you must have a whole subject on it, so that people know that rights of people are so sacrosanct. You can't barter away with those rights. Unless you can educate, people, law students, for example, with the, in the best possible way, the value of Constitution. Frankly, as Einstein used to say, that every citizen must, love the Constitution and must be prepared to die for the Constitution. Here, out of 145 crore, maybe even 144 crore don't know what the Constitution is about. We don't teach constitution. We don't teach constitutional values. We don't teach constitutional morality. So public life has seriously suffered. And once public life goes, so low, then naturally it affects the private life. Because now the interaction between citizen and government has become ever so increasing that you need government, for everything, including, your breath. It's, if you have a polluted air, and government only can do that because it's government which allows the nonsensical factories to go on. It allows these nonsensical vehicles. Look at recently, 15-year-old vehicles, you decide that they should be abolished from Delhi, but suddenly 3 days later you reverse that decision. Because you have no political will. You don't care a damn for future generations. Who are the sufferers? The children who are being born. The child, you see, ask any doctor today, the number of asthmatic problems that young children are facing is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So, this kind of a situation, course correction is, unless as I always say, that you need Swami Vivekananda, maybe Shankaracharya, maybe Gandhi to be reborn to really lead this country to a better path.
That kind of light and power is required.
Yes, absolutely.
Just few questions on the skill set of a lawyer. How can someone make a name for themselves in Supreme Court as a lawyer?
It's not easy. One thing lawyers must understand, that don't come to Supreme Court just because there is a Supreme Court of India. Every lawyer must understand that unless you have made a base in your home state, it is not right to come to Supreme Court. Very few people can directly succeed in Supreme Court. Okay, very few people. They have to be exceptionally lucky and then get exceptional opportunities which they can exploit. But those are very rare cases. But if you spend, 5, 7, 10 years in your own state, in this subordinate judiciary and then in High Court, you create an image, you create a goodwill, you create friendship with lawyers. The work comes from the states. Then if you move to the Supreme Court, the work from that state will sustain you in the initial, period. Once you start doing well in Supreme Court in those matters from one state, the lawyers from other states will start looking at you. So, litigants will start looking at you. So, Supreme Court practice is a very difficult practice, and I would not advise young lawyers to just jump into Supreme Court. I tell even my own juniors that you are wasting your time coming here. And I encourage them to leave. But they don't want to. And I must say with great sense of satisfaction that all of my junior colleagues have made huge success in Supreme Court, starting with Meenakshi Arora, who was my first junior, Ramesh Singh, who was standing counsel in High Court, Siddharth Dave, who's doing so well,
Right,
Madhvi Diwan, Nikhil Goyal, Harris Biran, many, Santosh Krishnan, many, of these colleagues have done exceptionally well in Supreme Court. But then they were very competent and maybe they were somewhat lucky.
What would be the most important skill set of a lawyer?
Well, most important skill is the art of persuasion. And if you don't have art of persuading a judge, then, and secondly, your skill or your ability to work hard, digest facts, and understand the law is most important. Very few people today read the barracks. If I come across any case, even now, even Contract Act, after 48 years, I will first open the bare Contract Act to see how I can apply which section of the Contract Act to the problem before me. And then start looking at the answers in AIR manuals. I never look at the computer. I am computer challenged, technology challenged. I have never seen SCC online on this thing. So I only see the textbooks on every subject that I have to appear in, and then I find judgments on my own from those textbooks. So you must have the skill that is required is hard work first and foremost. Most important is hard work, and then of course art of persuasion.
Sir, if you were to compress all the knowledge and wisdom of your 48 years into 60 seconds, what would be that advice you would want to give to any young lawyer listening to you today?
Well, I will always tell young lawyers that be clear, be hardworking, be honest, and never follow a improper path, however much the temptation there may be. I also love money. I'm a capitalist at heart. I may be socialist, in my actions, because I've done 700, pro bono matters. There were days in Supreme Court when I would return a paid brief to appear for a pro bono brief. But that passion must come. One thing, law is about passion. If you don't have passions, to help people, you can't succeed as a lawyer. So you must have that, it must come from within, that your desire to get justice to your client.
So what plans ahead now?
Well, joys and joys and joys. So read a lot, listen to music a lot, which I love. I love classical music. I love film songs. I can rhyme almost 2,000 filmy songs.
Oh, wow.
Then I love jazz music. I love some pop music of the 70s. I love traveling a lot, hell of a lot. And I love spending time with my wife, my children, and my grandchildren. We take too many vacations. Even, as a young lawyer, I would take 4 or 5 vacations a year. And in last 25 years, we have been taking almost 8 to 10 vacations a year. 8 to 10 vacations a year, ranging from 3 days to 7 weeks in summer. I rarely went to summer courts. Whatever may have been temptation, I rarely went. So, and my golf, of course, I may write a book. I'm not sure whether I will have the time to do it or the inclination, but I've got some offers to write a book. And of course, I will continue to write on public issues. I will continue to speak on public issues. And most of all, I and my wife intend to spend some time doing some, work for the society at large in Baroda district, from where I come, and around the villages that my parents came from, Sankheda and Daboi, where we wish to, I've been supporting a very fine program that 2 lawyers started 30 years ago. They left their profession at their peak at the age of 50.
Wow.
I'm doing it at 70. They left at 50. Mr. B.R. Shah and late Vasuben Shah. They left and they set up a fantastic institution to train tribal children for skilled development, job-oriented education after school. So they used to have 1 year fully, paid for program with hostel facility and all training. So to make them electricians, plumbers, computer, lathe operators, etc., etc. And all those kids for 30 years have had 100% employment record. So I've been supporting that program for a long time. I want to replicate that in my, district of Vadodara, and do other things. I'm talking to experts now, including, ex-UN and Bill Gates Foundation friend, and trying to find out how I can do to increase agricultural productivity for farmers in these taluks. How
that's
I can
important,
help
sir.
their health, areas or housing for them. So many ideas. It's too initial, but so I intend to enjoy life in a different way, which I've even otherwise enjoyed for a long, long time.
If you were to go back in time, sir, would you live life any differently?
No, I have no regrets. I've had a fantastic life. And I'm proud of it. And I must say that I've lived a life as straight as one could. And I've been rewarded thanks to this powerful society, which can still reward people who are straightforward and plain speaking. So I'm grateful to the country, I'm grateful to the people, and I'm grateful to all those who came in my contact, lawyers, judges, litigants, friends. It's been an amazing journey.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming on Beyond Bilbils. It was a pleasure speaking to you and learning so much from you.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.